The following is an episode of The Brian Brawdy Show, and listener discretion is strongly advised. Because if you're easily triggered, outraged, offended, maligned, mortified, insulted, or otherwise verbally injured, if you're constantly looking for a bubble, a safe space, some training wheels, or some water wings, Muffin, to get through your day, take it up with a therapist. I'm not your shrink.
Thanks for listening to the Brian Brawdy Show. It's time to mortal up.
Evening once again. Welcome to the Brian Brawdy Show. Boy, am I fired up to be spending the kickoff of Friday night. It's go time, Muffin. We'll come back to that whole Muffin thing because I had someone say to me, who you calling Muffin? Well, among some of my closest friends, Muffin, Sparkles, used to be Nancy, but they've stolen that term. And I have a friend that's Nancy, so I don't like to throw her under the bus. But Muffin is more an affectionate term, right? When you're like reminding someone that they're a badass, you say, come on, Muffin, come on, Sparkles, come on, cocktail sauce, right? Just to bring their A game. So you can take that thumbnail any way you want, but either way you take it, it's go time, Muffin. And so much has happened since I spoke to you last that I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be kicking off my Friday night with you, to be kicking off the weekend with you. And can I just thank, right out of the box, I want to thank everyone for the texts and the emails and the people said, I can't believe you're still sticking up for the Constitution. I can't believe you're sticking up for the little guy. I can't believe, it's not about the top 1% with you. It's about the truck driver. It's about the people every day that get out there like you and mortal up. Do everything you can to just nail life down, to be able to channel your natural resources, to channel your buried logic, to channel your authentic vigor, and to make life bend to your terms. I'm absolutely thrilled to be doing it. So thank you so very much for everyone. Also, I want to thank our friends over at YouTube who are watching. Don't forget, you can comment in the YouTube channel. Wayne watches that from our studios in Michigan. You can comment on YouTube. Thank everyone here that joins us on Facebook. We super appreciate you hanging out. Yes, sir, Wayne. Hi, how are you?
I'm alive.
All right, what's going on?
Well, it's been interesting. We've been an interesting day today. We had some comments. Where people are basically saying you just seem to be like a cross between Howard Stern and Rush Limbaugh.
Heaven help us.
So, I sat down and I decided, to come up with a little graphic, giving you a new name.
Okay.
So here it is.
Here's my new graphic. All right. Oh, wow. Look, Brian's new nickname, Strush. I like that. So they both have more hair than me. And neither one of them has a hair lip, but I get where you're going with this. Let me say hello quickly to Paul. Paul, thank you for joining us here in the feed. So, Wayne, someone commented that you're a cross between Rush Limbaugh and Howard Stern. I like the name Strush.
So we're going to start calling you Strush. And
Strush,
then I
like
figured,
that. Oh, maybe, should we do Radio Strush? Instead of Radio Brian, maybe it should be Radio Strush.
well, don't speak too much. We got to be able to get the domain name.
Oh, you're going to be able to get to them. Oh, yeah. Okay.
But then I figured, then we found a perfect song, a little bit of audio to put behind this for you.
Right. As only you can do. You're a maestro.
So we're going to go ahead and just play that through and tell me what you think.
All right. All right.
I've been up, I've been down, take my word, my way round. I ain't asking for much. I said, Lord, take me downtown. I'm just looking for
Strush. Takes it downtown. I'm just looking for some strush. I like it. I like that. I think I can live that name. As Henry says, it's Strush Man. Thank you, Henry, very much. Nice to see your brother. Don says, looking good. Don, thank you very much. Paul, thank you for joining us. So Strush, I love. Oh, ZZ Top's probably going to be one of the people that call in at the bottom of the hour, going, "Hey, look, we never gave you the right." It's going to be like a Trump rally. Everyone calling. We never gave you the right to use that music. Well, then, what are you going to do about that?
YouTube's gonna go ahead and do another copyright.
I know YouTube. What are you going to do? YouTube copyrights us even for music that we own, things that we bought. It's unbelievable. But they're just like fact checkers at Facebook. They can't get a job doing anything else. So they sit over top of their keyboards waiting to find something that they think, oh, well, we can't let that go. That's a copyright violation. Love, take me downtown. I'm just looking for some strush. I love it, Wayne. Thank you very much. Thank you. But Wayne, don't tell me who said it, right? Because it's good that I don't know. But whoever said you're a blend between Howard Stern and Rush Limbaugh, oddly enough, Wayne, I think they both make about $120 million a year. So that's pretty cool. Thank you very much. All right, what else is going on in the world? How's your governor doing? She was the target of a kidnap plan, I'm told, just over this past weekend. How's everything going with Alyssa?
Well, it's all Trump. It's all his fault.
As it would be, right? As one would.
It's all his fault. And it went now from, according to her, not the FBI, but according to her, it went from a kidnapping plot to a murder plot.
Oh.
So it's all Trump's fault.
Oh, it's all Trump's fault. So now he's a kidnapper and a murderer. I heard someone today, and look, I got to tell you, I heard someone today compare him to Hitler. Now, I get that people don't dig the boy. I get that people really don't like him. I do. I get that. And I have to tell you, everyone's like, well, we want to ask questions about, are you going to stack the court? Are you going to get rid of a filibuster? Are you going to make D.C. and Puerto Rico, I think it is, or maybe Guam, whatever it is.
Puerto Rico.
It's Puerto Rico. Thank you very much. Are you going to make them a state? Are you going to try to run the Senate when you control? Can I tell you, Wayne, the only question I want to know from both candidates?
Go for it.
I want to know, are you going to prosecute anyone that was implicit in the Russian scandal, the Hillary Clinton email scandal, all the lying to Congress, everything that went on? So when they go, well, what do you think about packing the courts? Couldn't care less. What do you think about this? Couldn't care less. My number one issue right now is I want to know, are you going to continue to investigate? Good evening, Miss Putnam. Not Miss Putnam. You're not going to investigate her. She's great. I am out of the loop, she says, Wayne, so we'll catch her back up, as I am from time to time. But good evening. I just want to know from the candidates, who's going to hold, whoever they find guilty, who's going to hold them accountable, right? Because it shouldn't be a cult of personality. It shouldn't be, oh, I want this one or I want that one. I want the policies. I want the platforms. I want to know that guilty people are going to go to jail if they're found guilty, right? I'm not saying, well, no, I would never say Hillary Clinton's guilty, right? That would make me a lowlife making headline. I don't know. There hasn't been a trial. But I say if you're voting for allowing justice to run its course, that's who we should be electing. Everyone's all ticked off. Everyone's all upset. Everyone's apoplectic.
Well, the problem,
what do you think?
It's just like the health care bill. When Pelosi said, if you want to know what's in the bill, you got to pass it. You're going to get the same answer just like you are anybody else. If you want to know what I'm going to do, you've got to elect me.
Well, isn't it interesting that Pelosi and Biden are both talking from the same teleprompter?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Well, if you want to know what's in the healthcare bill, we've got to pass it before we can read it. Oh, if you want to know if I'm going to stack the courts, right? Channel my inner FDR and try to stack the courts. Well, you got to pass me into the White House. You got to elect me into the White House before you can read my mind. Don says, if they prosecute anyone, I'll eat my hat. And Don, just for the record, it's not a baseball cap. It's one of those big, bushy, furry things you wear in the part of the country that you in. That's the hat that I want to see you eat, because I'm with you, brother, if they prosecute anyone. But that's the thing, Wayne. That's what I want to know. are the guilty people going to be held accountable? I don't give a crap about the cult of personality. I find it interesting that Nancy Pelosi, and again, not being political, but I find it interesting that Nancy Pelosi wants to craft a commission to check on the mental health of a president. Has she looked at who her party is nominated? I'd be really careful about floating the idea of a mental health. I think they all ought to have mental health tests.
Well, it's
just
funny
between you and me.
She submitted that bill today in the House.
Yeah.
She put it up, and now the Republican side is basically saying, "Hey, we need to look into her mental health to see if she's capable of holding office."
Oh, please. The greatest thing that ever happened to that woman was to hide all the scars from her plastic surgery when she got to wear a mask.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
She pulls it down. And this is not a slam on people that may have had some network done. All right, speaking of networks, one of my favorite ones now is C-SPAN. But I don't want to tip the cart. Why don't you go ahead, cue it up, and we'll tell everybody why C-SPAN's on the radar for today. Lowlifes making headlines, or as we like to call it around here, brains that make your blood boil. Here's your brittle brain atop a balsa wood spine for today. Oh, C-SPAN Steve Scully. What a lowlife making headlines today. Now, you're going to go, Bri, you're just piling on. Let me say quickly, Henry says no one is going to be prosecuted. Sue says Trump needs his mental health evaluated. All right, Sue, thank you very much for your thoughts. Hey, here's the thing, Sue, just so you know, at least coming from me, I think they all ought to have their mental health evaluated. If you're a career politician, and here's the thing, Wayne and Sue, if you have a comment on it, they have a senior tour in golf, right? Because you're just too old to be making the regular rounds on the PGA Tour. Couldn't we have like a senior tour in politics where you come up with some board game or something that you get to play in the retirement home, right? We could call it a Capitol Hill Downs, right? This is where we send people once they retire. This is like the senior PGA Tour. And we have it so that the people running for office aren't 70, 75, 80 years old. I think they all need to be evaluated. I've said it before, Sue, on this show and to anyone that will listen, right? Which outside of this, not a lot of people listen to me, Sue. I know you find that hard to believe. But I'd say this, anyone that wants to be a career politician, anyone that wants to be the most powerful man or the most powerful woman in the world has a Lex Luthor complex. Forget about narcissism. Good Lord. Has a Lex Luthor complex. And Sue, if you and I were hanging out somewhere having a drink and one of these Lex Luthors walks in, we'd pick up our cocktail napkins and walk away. We'd take our swizzle sticks and boogie. So I'm with Sue. I think they all need a mental health exam. And Nancy Pelosi running around. They say don't throw rocks if you live in glass houses. Boy, floating the idea that there should be a mental health test for the president. As Sue says, wouldn't that be nice? Bart says 70 is the new 50. That's all I'm saying, Bart. That's all I'm saying, Sue, is don't we deserve to have people with a little bit of mental wherewithal running the show for us? We have to have career politicians that have been there. Oh, I'm sorry. By career politicians, of course, I mean very altruistic public servants. We have to have public servants that have been serving the public for 30. They're like McDonald's with over 40 billion served, whatever that sign was that used to do for hamburgers underneath the golden arches. These public servants are going to get to stay forever? Sue says, amen. Sue, I'm with you. Yes, we would. Henry says, anyone deciding to go into politics should be required to undergo a mental evaluation. But here's what I love about Henry. I really do, Wayne. I love this about Henry, and then we're going to run to a quick break. I love this about Henry, right? Because there's no foregone conclusion, right? He's just saying, hey, we should have 1 minute. Thank you. We should have them all undergo a mental health evaluation. And then he says, well, but since we're doing it, we know they're all going to fail, then let's lock them up. All right, Wayne, take it away.
Portions of this broadcast have been pre-recorded.
Why? Because you can't get these people to hit a call time. They're the worst. Nah, I'm just kidding. We love our guests. So that is true. Portions of the show can be pre-recorded, as was the Love Take Me Downtown. I'm just looking for some strush. Yes, so forget the Human Mind's Mandalorian, Wayne. I'm gonna go with strush, right? That blend of Stern and Rush, Howard Stern and Rush Limbaugh strush. And we got to figure out how to get some of those $240 million a year or whatever, right? Whatever it is that they get paid. But getting back to it, here's the thing about Steve Scully. And people are thinking, Bri, are you ever going to start or stop picking on journalists? And this whole thing with Steve Scully. Well, let me just say this, Wayne, before we get into the next package. Sue says we need public servants under 50 or 55. Someone looking out for our retirement, Sue, and that's all I'm saying. Sue, I dig you already. I will tell you that wouldn't it be nice to have someone looking out for our retirement, Sue, and not their own skin, their own retirement? The maniac, the one percenters, the maniacs versus the masses. And politicians do a great kabuki theater, right? They get you to think that they're we're public servants. We're for the masses. The last thing Chuck Schumer is for the masses. The last thing Nancy Pelosi is for the masses. I guess you could probably say the same thing about Mitch McConnell. The last thing he's for is for the masses. So I'm with Sue. I dig this idea, right? Speed 55, not just a good idea for a speed limit if you want to keep control of your new race car, 55 and under for elected politicians. But what really just stokes me when I talk about brittle brains, top balsa wood spines that make your blood boil, here's this Steve Scully. And let me tell you what he did today. Now, you're thinking to yourself, Bri, stop picking on these poor little journalists. They can't do anything else for a living, so they got to act like their opinion matters, and then they got to write it down like it matters even more. We're reporting the news. And everyone's saying, oh, you're going to pile on Steve Scully, right, because he used to be an intern for Joe Biden? Nah, couldn't care less. You got to give everybody a break. He may have been an intern for Joe Biden, but it's like, okay, great. So maybe he can turn a new leaf and be an honest moderator, right? Could happen. You never can tell. Might happen. Wayne says, are you discriminating against the elderly? No, Wayne, here's the deal. I'm discriminating against me. With Sue's plan that public servants have to be under the age of 55, I wouldn't be eligible, which, truth be told, is probably a great idea, because if I were president, your people would not be happy.
Look at the emoji at the end.
Do what? The emoji. Laughing. There you go. Yes, I'm discriminating against myself. But here's the thing about Steve Scully, and you can put this lowlife's making headlines picture back up if you don't mind. Wait. Here's the thing. You can say, oh, well, he used to be an intern. He could turn over a new leaf. I don't mind. Oh, Bri, he put out a tweet. One of the things, and we were going to do a package tonight. We were going to do a segment, the 7 things smarter than Steve Scully. Because let me get this straight. So initially, he wants to put out a tweet. And if you don't know what it's about, he put out a tweet to the other 4-foot troll running around.
Mooch.
I think Mooch, Scaramucci, who a lot of people don't know this, is the same height as George Stephanopoulos. And now I don't know Brian Stelter. Brian, given all the other Brians, a bad name, Stelter, from over at the Circus News Network. Sue says, LOL, Wayne. No, just against sexist jerks. We got to be careful there, Sue, because sexist jerks, that might just be about all of our public servants. I don't know. Henry says, in my opinion, all politicians should be named public, because the only public interest is their own. Henry, as always is the case, I find myself more times than not, I agree with you wholeheartedly. So let's get back to tonight's Low Life's making headlines. Steve Scully. And it has nothing to do with the fact that, he used to be for Biden. Okay, great. God love him. He could turn over, or he could be honest, right? He could keep the scales balanced. Then you say, well, wait a minute. He sends out a text to Scaramucci, throwing Trump under the bus. And you think to yourself, wait a minute. If he sent the text out, shame on him, because now no one believes in his credibility, right? No one watching the debate is going to believe in his credibility. Sue says, Brian Brawdy for president 2024. No, Sue, I think I'd rather you and I have the drink, and we'll make fun of all the Lex Luthers in the bar running, right? We'll get those little, like, umbrellas, and we'll put them in a drink, and you and I'll just sit back and make fun of all these public servants.
Yeah, but you've missed the 50 to 55.
Well, yeah, that's okay. Sue, Sue may be saying Brandy. Oh, I think she's trying to spell my name, but yes, if she's saying Brandy the drink, a little sweet for me, Sue, but I could do brandy if that's what if that's what we can drink while we're making fun of all these other people. I'm all over. Yes, and I would miss the 55, Sue, by just a smidgen, just a scintilla in 2024. I would miss that. But here's the thing about sending out a tweet, right? So forget about shooting your own credibility in the foot. But let's say it was an accident. If you don't know the difference between a direct message, which you're sending, right, to your height buddy, Scaramucci. If you don't know the difference between a direct message and a public tweet, you're too dense. Let me just say this. I'm betting right now, if Steve's listening, he's wearing penny loafers because he hasn't mastered the acumen, right? Hasn't rallied the smarts to be able to tie a bow in shoes that have strings. So you know he's wearing slip-ons. You just know it. Bart says, not all public servants. There are so many more public servants than politicians. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right, Bart. And I think they hijacked the term because we have some really great public servants. I'm just talking about elected officials that stick around for 400 years. We've got some people that have been in the Senate, House of Representatives, people that have been, it's my turn to be president, people that have been running the show for as long as Moses was alive. Bart says, not unlicensed or whatever, just the last two words turned into. Gotcha, brother. So all I'm suggesting is if you're not smart enough to know if it's a direct message to your boyfriend Scaramucci or it's a public tweet, do you possess the mental skills to be able to handle a debate? It's none of that, Wayne, right? You know this. It's none of that. So I'm willing to let the fact that he was an intern go. I'm willing to let the fact that he's so dense, he doesn't know the difference between a direct message, right, and a public tweet. I'm willing to let all that go. I'm a good guy. That's just me. I'll give you all kinds of strikes. What infuriated me today, it's actually Sarah tonight. Hi, Sarah. I'm sorry. I keep calling you Bart. And hi, Sarah. Nice to see you. Thank you so very much for joining us here on the Brian Brawdy Show. So here's the scoop. I'm not upset about any of that, Wayne. But later today, in an attempt, like what is he? Did he read James Comey's book? In an attempt to get out from underneath the fact that there are 7 rocks, 7 crystals, 7 plants, for the vegans listening, right? There are 7 things that occur in nature that are smarter than Steve Scully. Forgetting everything else I said, in an attempt to try to hide the fact that he's as dumb as a box of rocks. What does he do today, Wayne? He steals from Joy Reid's playbook over at MSNBC. He steals from her playbook, just like Joe Biden stealing from Nancy's playbook on, well, if you want to know what's in it, you've got to you got to make it law. You got to make it official. If you want to know I'm going to pack the court, you got to make me, I'm sorry, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, right. I'm sorry, what? Right. Oh, right. So, Joe Biden. 17,000 sailors were killed by COVID. No, Joe, that was 7 in the entire military. What were we talking about? So in any event, what he does is he steals from Nancy's playbook and goes, you're going to have to wait. Well, here our good friend, Steve Scully, steals from Joy Reid's playbook of going, no, my Twitter account was hacked. Right? Just like James Comey. No, it wasn't me. It was the career public servants. As Sarah said, the real public servants. It's not me. I'm not to blame. Right? Scully, I'm not to blame. Someone hacked my account. Joy Reid, I'm not to blame. Somebody hacked my account and said all those horrible things. Is there anyone in politics or in the mainstream media that can just own up to it?
None of them have the courage.
None of them have the courage.
But it's funny how it was hacked, but how quickly. that tweet disappears.
Yeah, it was hacked. So the hacker, right, hacks it, sends the tweet, and then thinks, oh, that was horrible of me. I'm such a rotten person. I think I'm going to, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I better go ahead and, I better go ahead and delete the tweet. I feel so bad. So your account is hacked. Then the hacker has some remorse and goes back and undeletes the tweet. How stupid, how gullible do we seem? Now, look, we talk all the time about wing sauce. I know we're getting ready to run here in just a couple of seconds to the bottom of the hour. And, of course, we're going to open the phone lines. But, look, left wing, right wing, whatever your political affiliation, right? Just how gullible do politicians think we are? How gullible do certain people in the media think we are? Joy Reid, some of the most vile comments on Twitter. Oh, that's okay. Don't look here. I was hacked. Scully. Oh, don't look here. I was hacked. Yes, and even though they deleted the hack, oh, well, you know, Wayne, people can turn over a new leaf, damn it. Right, Wayne? People can show remorse. Sue, I got to tell you, Sue, can I just say this, Wayne, real quick? And then I want to get back to the real reason. Oh, you're scratching your head. Okay. Is that a symbol? Oh, thank you for putting the Mortal Up logo on so we could, at least we can see it. So let me just respond to Sue. Sue, not only do I think you're absolutely correct, I believe once a person becomes a politician, they take a secret oath to serve money, no matter what. You all right there, Wayne?
Yeah.
All right, buddy, just checking on you. We take a secret oath to serve money. I think, Sue, soon as you're elected, like high end, right? President, vice president, as soon as you get to be the leader of the Senate, the leader of the House, I think a black van pulls up. They give Secret Service, they tell them to take a cigarette break, right? Well, we'll buy lunch for all Secret Service agents. Then they throw like a little party, you know, like a cover dish thing at the old Methodist church we all used to go to, right? Right? They throw a cover dish, and all the Secret Service agents are like, oh, wow, free meal. They're like cops at donuts, right? Patrolmen heading over to donuts in the morning, right? And before everyone goes, oh, now Brian's making fun of cops. As a cop, I get to make fun of cops, just like I make fun of people from West Virginia. And, of course, I make fun of people with hair lips, right? If I could do brain tumor jokes, I would, but I haven't figured out how to do that just yet. Sue says right, left, middle. We all should be pro-people, Sue. Look, all right, let me figure out how to do a heart here. I could not agree with you more. But here's the thing. Everyone's like, oh, I got hacked. Joy Reid, oh, I got hacked. So Steve Scully, and I put it out on Spitter today, out in the blue Bubbleverse. Steve Scully wants to know why he's the lowlife making headlines, is because if that's what you did, at least admit it. James Comey, if what you did was wrong, then at least admit it. Don't go in front of the Senate and then say 17,666 times, oh, I don't recall. Who are you, Joe Biden, naming the number of people in the military that passed from COVID? Right? I don't remember. Just own up to it. For God's sakes, don't delete your tweet. It's just insulting. How gullible, how dense, how dearth of any type of intelligence must we seem? Oh, I was hacked. If there's any right in the world, Scully will be let go. He will not moderate the debate. And Wayne, is the debate even going on? Let me ask you before we run to the bottom of the hour. Is this the same debate that Trump said he's pulling out of? This one was that Scully was going to referee? Moderate. Tomato.
I believe it is.
It is. Okay, great. So he may not even get to referee a debate. Let's get ready to rumble. He might not even get to ply his trade, whatever that is. Talk about mashugana. He may not be able to get to do that, right? Darren says, I don't recall, but he had the memory to write a book. You know what, Darren, I absolutely agree with you. And wouldn't it be great if he wrote the book and something he wrote in the book contradicted his testimony on the Hill? Wouldn't it be great if they said, oh, well, yeah, here's what you said, but good golly, this book, oh, and it's a page turner, let me say, Jimmy. Just, right? This is must reading. All right, 1 minute. Thank you, Wayne. This is must reading, but I'm curious, in the book you said this. But now you say, I don't recall. Bueller. All right, we got to run to the bottom of the hour. Wayne, please work your magic.
You're listening to The Brian Brawdy Show. Why? Because you know the truth when you hear it. He'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Brian Brawdy Show, brought to you by our good friends at Counterpunch Media and Certifiable Brilliance. It's time to buckle up. All right, time to buckle up, and we are getting ready. Wayne, what do you think? Is it time to work your magic?
Which ones? The phone lines?
Yeah, why not?
Let's do it.
The phone lines are open. Now's your chance to mortal up and give Brian a shout, because your opinion deserves to be heard. Dial toll-free 1-833-MORTAL-1. That's 833-MORTAL-1.
Of course, Mortal One, because I believe you're the number one mortal, right? I believe that what you think, what you feel, I believe that when you dovetail your heart and your head, you are unstoppable. Of course, the hieroglyphics of that, 833-667-8251, 833-667-8251. You can call us. You can text us. Let us know what you think. Also, I want to make mention of the fact I love Fayetteville, North Carolina. It might very well be the first time I was in Fayetteville. Help me. I think Fort Bragg is in Fayetteville, if I'm correct. I dropped my youngest brother, John, off to begin his military career all those years ago in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I think his barracks was at Fort Bragg, if I remember. So I dig that part of the country, just so for whatever that's worth. All right, Wayne, so now the phone lines are open, but I went a little long there, but I want to talk to people about a new segment that we're going to be doing, and I'm very excited about it, right? Because we can't, every time a journalist steps out of line, we can't give them lowlifes making headlines. We got to save that for the politicians, the sports, the athletes that think they're smarter than they are, right? We've got to save lowlifes making headlines. We just can't throw it around. And then we have the Maleficent Seven, right? Our belief in that sometimes, and I think what we should do, Wayne, is let's save, not for tonight, but for next Friday, let's save the Maleficent Seven, right, to Friday nights, so that when we get the polling all week at mortalup.com, all week we get the polling, we announce the top 7 vote getters on a Friday night, and I think that's the way to go about the Maleficent Seven. But we wanted to come up with a different way of highlighting some of these asshats, and I'm cleaning up my language, right? So we'll just call them asshats. We'll let it go, because I could have said assets. You don't know if I didn't slip up and say asshat as opposed to asset. Could have called them crap weasels for people, right? At least the word ass is in the Bible, right? I don't know if the word crap weasel's in the Bible.
We know what you're saying, Brian.
Do I know what I'm saying?
No, we know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying. A good thing, because you know what I mean, right? So many surgeries, so little mind. So here's the thing. I wanted a new segment, and Wayne and I were laughing this morning. But Wayne, what do you want to go ahead and show the logo now? This will be our new segment starting Monday, right? So we have lowlifes making headlines. Maleficent 7 will be on Friday nights. But Wayne, for those people, oh, there we go. Our new segment. Oh, look, there's little Jimmy accosted from the Circus News Network. I think I see John Carl. Oh, there's the guy from Playboy. Oh, yeah. He's the only guy without a tie. I guess you could tell he's from Playboy. Right? No suit, just not even a coat, really. Oh, there's everybody. Oh, yeah. So our new segment is going to be jousting with journalists, right? So that when you get a guy like Scully, or you get a guy like, or a guy, Sorry, with all due, you get any of the guys in journalism, or you get a girl, right? Or can I say gal? I don't know if you're allowed to say gal anymore. You get a woman like Joy Reid at MSNBC, right? Instead of making them a lowlife making headlines, let's just have them fill in our segment for jousting with journalists. And we put journalists in the quote. This was brilliant, Wayne, on your part. Thank you again for all the cool thumbnails. We put journalists in quotes because whatever happened today where, Joe Friday, just the facts, ma'am, right? From Dragnet, when they would show up, just the facts, ma'am. So we're going to have a segment called Jousting with Journalists, and we'll pick, and believe me, the segment writes itself. You get up every morning, 5 o'clock as one would, and you go, okay, what will we write for today? What will we talk about? What will we do? You just go into a couple of news sites, and we're members of them all, right? You get all the newspapers, all the magazines, this and that. These segments write themselves because you never know what these journalists, some of them I love, some are great people, some are still in the higher echelons of media, even national media in my world, who I care for deeply. But some journalists are just plain mashugana, and that's going to be our Jousting with Journalists segment. I don't know, Wayne, you did a great job on the graphic. What do you think?
I got to do some more work on that one.
I don't know. I like who got the lance, right? You got to make sure, because someone will go, oh, Brian's talking about violence. That one reporter with a camera's got a lance going right through his head, right? So people will go, oh, right. So now Brian's inciting violence, with his jousting with journalists. As Don said, journalism died years ago. Jousting with news readers. Oh, yeah. All right, so let me think, because I like the way jousting and journalists went together, but Don says jousting with news readers. So what if we did the ground and pound with the gullible? Wayne, we could do that segment. Ground and pound with the gullible. Maybe that addresses Don's thought of news readers, right?
I can have fun with a graphic on that one.
Yeah, ground and pound the gullible, which is what they try to do to us, right? The masses, the people working the way we do, just to try to get through the day, to have a life that we're thrilled about. And you got these maniacs, the power-hungry ones. As Sue said earlier, they need all the money. They need all the power. Little Chucky Schumer spending $5 million a week or whatever the figure was in the great state of Michigan. And I love it. These politicians like Alyssa Milano, your governor, when she goes, Michiganders. Well, we're all Michiganders. We're all like, they figured out how to make the plural of people that live in Michigan, and we're supposed to be impressed that she can pronounce a 4-syllable word. I don't get it, right? And she was the one that way back when was a meteorologist and a totalitarian. As I've called her before, the totalitarian meteorologist, where she talked about locking people in their homes, and when asked about it, she goes, what do we care? There's a snowstorm on its way anyways. Oh, Don, look at it. Don coming right up. Thank you, Don. Let me see. If I had a tip jar and I worked at a bar, Don, I'd be hitting my tip jar right now, but you'll have to do this. That's my new gong in the studio. Neutering newsreaders. That's a good one, Wayne. Don, by the way, we'll be stealing that. There's no plagiarism here, and we'll be going to make sure that GoDaddy has neutering newsreaders before the top of the hour. Sue says Trump incites violence with every word. Well, I will tell you, Sue, that in my opinion, so does Nancy Pelosi when she talks about turning over. And look, I would say the same thing if people try to turn over Joe Biden's election. Let's say Joe Biden wins. If someone were to go, well, let's get him out on the 25th. Let's create a Russian collusion. Let's do this. Let's do that. I'd say the same thing, because for me, just my opinion, it's not a cult of personality. Well, I couldn't care less who the figurehead is, because that's what they are, figureheads. But they're supposed to be fighting for us. Oh, Darren says, I trust Jerry Springer more than any. Now, Darren, don't forget Maury Povich. It's not fair to leave out Maury Povich. I'm sure Darren meant to say he trusts Jerry Springer and Maury Povich more than any other mainstream media. And Darren, I said in a radio interview just a few days back that the only thing that presidential debacle didn't have was the two candidates picking up the podiums and throwing them at each other like chairs at a Jerry Springer show. Henry says, mainstream media shish kebab. I like that. If only that were true, right? Could we just tell them to shush? Darren says, I disagree. Well, you're going to get a like no matter what, but please tell us what it is you disagree about. Agree to disagree, Darren. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, so Sue's saying, I got you now. All right, following along there. Darren says yes. So here's the deal. I think any career politician, anyone that tells you, right, anyone that can't master the ability to care for the masses, I don't think they should be elected to office. And anyone most certainly that won't commit to make certain that no matter what, no matter who gets elected, that we get to the bottom of the Russian collusion thing. We get to the bottom of the private servers for Hillary Clinton. We get to the bottom of a lot of this. Not because I'm anti-Hillary, not because I'm pro-Trump, but because I'm pro-honesty. I'm pro the law. I'm pro-policy. I'm pro-platform. And I don't believe, as I said last evening, right, where all kinds of career politicians believe in dual process. But it's not dual process. It's spelled DUE, D-U-E process, where everyone is held accountable to the same sets of laws, but not these maniacs, not these power-hungry, money-thirsty, as Sue said earlier, by the time you get there, all it's about the money, all these money-thirsty, power-hungry people going against us masses, right? They're not into making sure that we're all set. Just look at the policies. Another question I have, why does it take so long? Declassify all the documents. If they're smearing you, we've been waiting since January for the documents to be declassified. So all I'm suggesting, and let me just say for the people here and listening most certainly on YouTube as well, what I've always enjoyed, Sue says, I wish Alexandria Cortesia ran for president. She hasn't been bought yet. Well, that's interesting. I don't know if she's old enough, but I get where you're going. Darren says, I'm anti-Hillary. Well, Darren, there's a little bit to that. If we get a chance to go down, if we get to go down the whole Benghazi rabbit hole. Sue says, Russian collusion. That's scary. Yes, if in fact we find out that the real Russian collusion was that everyone that fell for the Steele dossier, everyone that continued to pitch the Steele dossier, and as I've said, if Brennan took notes during the meeting, and he says in his own notes, he briefed POTUS, he briefed the president of the United States on Hillary's plan to muddy the waters, right? To kind of stir up the sediment so that everyone would be focused on Russian collusion and no one would be focused on her email servers. No one would be focused on the things that she was guilty of. Talk about Russian collusion. Who's the one that took the big red reset button? Like we're a bunch of monkeys sitting around, gullible little monkeys sitting around. Oh, great. She put a reset button. She took it to, wasn't Kislyak. Who was the name of that guy from Russia? Number 2, right under Putin. Oh, great. She took a reset button. That's right. Oh, that was so funny. Man, oh, she's just a smarty. Sarah says, be ever mindful of the needs of others. Well, that ship sailed as soon as you become a career politician. The only others you're worried about are yourselves, your family, and the close-in circle of people that can keep you in power, in my opinion. Right? But the days of believing that we elect public servants that all pull for the common good, I just don't see it. I just don't see it anymore. What I'd like for the politicians to go, you're damn right. Regardless of who's elected, we're going to keep the investigation alive. Not because we're pro-Democrat, thank you, Wayne, not because we're pro-Republican, not because of any of that, but we're pro-truth. We're pro-due process, not dual process, like they try to spoon-feed us, shovel down our throats all the time, but due process. We all should be held accountable to the same laws. All right, Wayne, if you would, please.
The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent.
I should say that. And also just know if you feel free to post here in the thread, right? Because it's a post-free zone. Feel free, please, to say whatever it is that you think or believe. And as we say, in terms of our sponsors, Wayne, we haven't talked much about Counterpunch Media or Certifiable Brilliance. But both of our sponsors, please feel free. They're like, look, we encourage the debate. We encourage the First Amendment. We encourage. And again, I went into it last night about the Second Amendment. Well, I don't think I don't think you have the right to free speech. You have a responsibility to speak your mind. You have a responsibility to hold your elected officials accountable, right? They work for you. They're not rights. People say, well, I have a right to bear arms. No, you have a responsibility to be able to protect your family. And when everyone and their brother's busy running around screaming, defund the police, what are you going to do? Go, well, I called 911 like 30 minutes ago and no one came. So, right now you're at the hands of the bad guy or the bad girl. I don't want anyone saying that I'm sexist, right? And let's just get, if we could, one other thing before we get ready to get into Mortal Up. When everyone says, well, Bri, I never realized you were such a bad guy. Well, listen, I'm clearly a bad guy, right? And people say, oh, well, we never knew that you could go that way. Oh, it's absolutely the way I go. Look, I say all the time, can't spell Brian without the I in idiot. If it makes me an idiot to believe that the people that we put in office should be held accountable to the same laws as you and me, the masses, right? So I'm the idiot. I'm the bad guy. I'm the asshat. I'm the crap weasel. All the other things that are, and please keep the hate mail coming. I love reading it. Right, Wayne? Just go to mortalup.com. There's all kinds of drop downs there. And you're welcome to call me every name in the book because, oh, here's a fun fact. I couldn't care less about your opinion. Right? Oh, I care about the opinions that you have, the things that we have in our thread. But as far as your opinion of whether you think I'm a good guy or a bad guy, I couldn't care less. Just mark me down as a bad guy. Right? And then we don't have to worry about it anymore. Just mark me down as a crap weasel. I've been looking to rebrand. Got in a fight the other day with somebody who said, well, if you believe this or you believe that, you're just an ass. Great. I put me down as an ass. Right? I'm good. I've been looking to rebrand. And Wayne, if I could tell you real quick, just, because at Counterpunch Media, the Brian Brawdy and Associates, I got some mail the other day from a governmental agency, Brian Brawdy and ASS. ASS.
Sounds
right.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Brian Brawdy and ass. So right. So please feel free to say whatever you want because when it comes, and that's the thing about Mortal Up. So let's throw tonight's thumbnail up one more time if you would. Wayne, the boxing gloves. I think you did a great job. It's go time, Muffin. And by Muffin, I mean it very affectionately, right? Because the guys and girls in my circle, right? The people that are the ones that whatever comes out of the election, they're the ones that are going to rise to the top. However the poll turns out for next week, when Wayne says, hey, the poll that we put up at mortalup.com, are we headed towards a civil war here in the United States, right? However that works out, these are the people I'm very, very blessed to run in the circles that I do. Darren says, but let's not discuss the fact that, but had illegally wiretapped before the last election. Well, right. That's most certainly how it's looking. America was built on the backs of immigrants and slaves. When will people in color and immigrants be represented? Well, Sue, I was one, right. And what I was fascinated to learn that as an Irish guy, I'm not considered white. Believe it or not, as an Irish guy, I'm considered an ethnicity. My family, I had 3 grandparents all born, in the Scottish Isles. So I'm all over it. Henry says, political mantra, lie, cheat, and steal. Deny the lies, cheating and stealing. Defend the lies, cheating and stealing. Then blame the other gang for lies, cheating, and stealing. All right, see, I'm getting a lot better at this. So you hold that down, and then you move here. Perfect. There you go. I love that quote. I didn't vote for Obama, but I'm glad he won both times. I will tell you, Sue, the day that President Obama was sworn in, as the first time as president, I took my kids out of school so that they could see the inauguration. I think it was a good thing. I think it was a good thing But that's why I get into these debates where people say, well, there's just systemic racism. I don't see, if there were systemic racism, if there were institutionalized racism, if there were all these other things that they want us to believe, right? If they want to separate us, they want to separate you and me in an attempt to eventually separate your heart from your head, right? Heaven forbid they let your heart and your head dovetail, because then you're unstoppable. All I'm suggesting is it's time. It's go time. And as I started to say, when we say muffin, it's a very affectionate term, like sparkles, cocktail sauce, right? Commander, it's just a very affectionate term, but it's go time, because you and I have got to draw our own line in the sand. We talked about tyranny earlier this week. And yeah, you can make a conversation about a macro level tyranny, but we're talking about here in the closing 10 minutes of tonight's show, the closing show of the week, we're talking about a personal tyranny, those things that you hold yourself in prison with. And when we talk about it's go time, I sent Wayne a picture earlier today that I had gotten from someone that showed a garage, right, just full of ammunition and weapons and this and that and everything else. And there were 2 bicycles hanging in the far corner, and the caption read something to the effect of, oh, that's overkill. Who needs 2 bicycles, right? So for all the people going, hey, it's going to go to blows here pretty soon, the most important going to blows is when it comes time for you to go to blows with yourself. And that's the mortal up for this evening, right? When it comes time to go to blows, what we're talking about is when you get to stand in front of the mirror, call yourself Muffin, call yourself cocktail sauce. I do it all the time. Okay, Sparkles, you'll be fine. Let them call you. Yeah, mortal up. Thank you very much, Wayne. I appreciate it. Right? When you stand in the mirror, it's time. That's what makes it go time. Those times when we call ourselves, come on, Muffin, really? You're going to let them hijack your heart and your head? You're going to fall, right? When it comes to jousting with journalists, you're going to fall. You're going to be the gullible rube that they're counting on you to be. You're going to be the one that dovetail with their mashugana. You're going to buy into it. We talked earlier in the week about don't fall into their web. You're going to be the one that says, yeah, I'll drink the Kool-Aid. Well, not me. And I don't want to drink the Kool-Aid, not because I think, oh, the hell with them for giving me the Kool-Aid. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about having a sense of sovereignty, having a sense of strong borders for your own mind. And I've asked this before. Suppose someone, hey, there's my chance to hit my gong again. Suppose someone rings your front doorbell. You don't know. That could be my doorbell. I could have a gong as a doorbell, old-fashioned. I think that would be great. Except this around here, someone would probably steal the gong, but you get where I'm going with this. But suppose someone rings your doorbell and you get up from the table and you go out and they're standing at the front door and they got 2 cans of spray paint in their hands. And you go, can I help you? You got the right address? What are you looking for? No, I just thought I'd come in and to your place. I see you have some nice furniture. I was looking through the windows. I hope you don't mind. I was looking through the windows and I saw like this vaulted ceiling here in your foyer. Would you mind if I came in and spray painted some graffiti? Oh, well, that's a nice couch there. Well, could I spray paint some graffiti on those couch cushions? Thank you, Darren, very much. Darren says, I missed that gong. Well, Darren, here, only because we've had some complaints about the gong here in the studio. My brother Bob, and let me pull this off this rack to show you, it's no longer the full-on gong, but he made me. Now this, believe it or not, is an old fire hydrant. Sorry, Wayne, that would have been a good time to tell you to maybe pull the earplugs off a little bit. But so here's the deal, Darren. Instead of the gong, he made me, this is an old fire extinguisher, right? And he had it powder coated. It looks great, but it just sounds great. I have to be honest with you. It's got more resonance, I think, in it than the actual gun itself. But thank you so much for taking me down memory lane. I super appreciate it. Okay, Sue says oppression is alive and well in America. And all I'm saying is that oppression that we're talking about is more in the minds of the individual. And when it comes to mortal up, when are you going to draw Liberty's line in the sand? Thank you, Darren, very much. I think it's an absolutely sweet sound. When are you going to draw the line in the sand? When is your liberty going to be? What are you doing? So, Sue, when it comes to people saying, oh, well, there's systemic racism, there's institutionalized racism, there's this or that, that's too broad of a brush for me, with all due respect. I like the idea of, if you have that kind of hatred in your heart, and I was talking with a good friend of mine the other day about it. She happens to be black. And I was like, I can't believe that a person had this to say, right? But that's the culpability of the individual person saying that. It's like when you say, oh, defund the police. No, and I was talking with a neighbor today about it. There's some cops. Let me just say this, and for the cops that happen to be listening, you know that I'm telling the truth. For those of you out there, you know I'm telling the truth. There are plenty of cops, not a majority, but plenty. You'd be surprised the numbers that were beat up in a high school bathroom for their lunch money. They get out, they take a civil service test, they get a gun and a badge, and now they're going to violate, or they're going to make do for every wrong that was ever perpetrated against them. Now, there's some great cops. Don't get me wrong. Well, I think I was one. I think the medals, the citations, the awards say that I was one. But you just can't paint with a broad brushstroke. I would suggest you may not want to paint with that broad brushstroke, because there's some great cops, there's some horrible cops, there's some great doctors, there's some horrible doctors. I can't even bring myself to say there's some great politicians, but maybe there's a local politician, even though I believe big government lives in little minds. Big government isn't off at some state or national capital. Big government lives in little minds. When they tell you, try living under a homeowners association, where they get to tell you, you know, what flag you can fly, what you can do, and what you can't do. Darren says, a friend of mine bought a BMW. Tell him how oppressed he is. All right, Darren, there you go. So all I'm simply suggesting is suggesting, if I could speak straight, that the oppression that you and I can deal with is the oppression we hold ourselves under. And if you're a racist, if you have that kind of hatred in your heart, I got a bulletin. You're oppressing yourself. People say, oh, you can't say this word or that word. Oh, there's hate speech. I don't believe in hate speech. I believe in hate hearing. I don't believe in squelching someone's speech. I believe in squelching your hearing. Let me put it this way so that no one can misunderstand what I'm trying to say. I don't believe in squelching your speech. I believe in squelching my hearing. If I don't like what you have to say, I'm not going to burn your book. I'm going to turn my hearing aids either up, if you have those Bose noise-canceling headsets, they are to die for, or you just put earplugs. So I don't believe in hate speech. I believe in hate hearing. And I also believe that the oppression that everyone's talking about, you oppress yourself. If you get through life believing that the thickness of human skin, one, it shows you know nothing about biology. You know nothing. Everyone's screaming science, science, science. Well, look at DNA. Right? If your suggestion is a person is either plus or minus because of something, the color of something that's the thickness of a postage stamp, you need some help. You're oppressing yourself by carrying around that belief. Darren says it's all about the choices you make in life. You are where you're at today because of the decisions you made yesterday. Absolutely. And I would suggest, Darren, that the decision now is to mortal up. Remember who you ultimately are, and that you're above calling people names because of the color of their skin. You're above calling people names because of a proclivity that they have. It's above you. Don't sink beneath yourself by buying in to the media's or anti-social media's mashugana. Don't buy into the crap spewed by lowlifes making headlines. Don't buy into it. Do you believe in your heart that you're a good person? That's what matters. And that's why it's go time. That's why it's time to put the boxing gloves on and have these discussions with yourselves. Thank you, Wayne, very much. It's go time, Muffin. And I mean that affectionately. And also, it's go buy time now because we got to get out of here. It's Friday night. Thank you so very much for listening to us on YouTube, here, of course, on Facebook, on Spitter, in the blue bubble verse that is AKA Twitter, on LinkedIn. Also, if you're listening to the podcast, thanks for helping our numbers just grow. Wayne says we're up like another 1,000. Thank you so much for all of your help in making that happen. If you like what you've heard, please share that around. We're never going to get the gig with Sirius if we can't rely on our friends to kind of share around, help spread the message. Then I'm absolutely certain we'll get there. Thank you for listening to us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. Wayne, as always, thank you so very much. Everyone at Counterpunch Media, thank you. And of course, Certifiable Brilliance, thank you as well. Have an absolutely fantastic weekend. We'll be back on Monday. Seriously, be careful. Have a great weekend and mortal up.
Thanks for listening to The Brian Brawdy Show. Until next time, get out there and mortal up.